What is up, guys? So in today's video we're going to be working on the Dodge Dakota RT again with the Procharger setup. So in the last video we left off, we installed the tune from Flying Ryan Performance, and we're just going back and forth right now revising the tune and getting it dialed in. So we just got another revision back from Ryan. We're going to load it back in the truck, and it looks like it's pretty rich right now. So with the larger injectors and that larger AEM fuel pump, it's getting a ton of fuel, so we're gonna have to scale it back. So not a bad problem to have, but at the same time we just gotta dial it in. Every one of these things is different, so let's get it dialed in and let's go. So here's the truck. We got the HP tuners, we got it connected to the truck. So same thing as last time. I'm gonna go ahead and just send that file to the PCM. It's gonna write it, we can start it up. Another thing that I wanted to mention too is on our wideband O2 sensor, it wasn't reading accurately the last time, so I just did some digging just quickly before this video. I probably should have recorded it, but I wasn't sure what I was gonna find. I ended up finding that the actual harness for the wideband O2 wasn't fully seated, so it was connected, but it just needed an extra little click. And now we actually have a proper reading, because this thing was running really rich, but this thing was just sitting right at 14.8 the whole time. It wasn't moving whatsoever. So I'm guessing now when we start it, it should show pretty rich. So we'll see where it's at. We'll have more accurate readings so we can give more accurate information back to Ryan so he can dial this thing in. So let's go. Okay, so the HP tuners, we got that loaded up, the file, but I'm just doing a bit more digging, and I was finding that the wideband O2 sensor, there's two outputs that come from this, and if it's getting a little bit technical, don't worry about it. I wouldn't expect you guys to all know this, but there's two wires that come out of the AEM gauge. One is for serial output, the other one is a 0 to 5 volt reading, and I mistakenly put the wrong one on, so when it was recording the data it was the wrong one. So I'm just going to switch that now so that we have a more accurate air fuel reading being recorded by the HP tuners, and then we'll be all set. Alright, so we got everything figured out, and just so you guys know what I'm talking about, you'll see here that I've configured this input, this AEM gauge, the wideband gauge, and right now since the truck is off, it is fully lean. You can see the value is 18.72 air to fuel ratio. So if we hit record, it kind of will just plot along here what that value is, and right now since the truck is off, we're really not going to see too much. So you can see it's plotting all of our different inputs here, and most of them are flatline just since the engine's off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start it with the new configuration, we're gonna record the data, and then we'll send this back to Ryan. Okay, so there's all our data like I was mentioning. And like you can see, we're still running pretty rich. 13.5, not too bad, but can definitely be cleaned up a bit. Same thing, 13.1, 12.9, 12.8, 12.6, it's getting richer. Same thing over here, see, 12.3. It's starting to dip into the 11s. We look over here, see, we're in the 11s. So now we have some accurate readings on both sides. All right, so I don't know if you guys can hear me. It's super loud in here with that supercharger, but we've got our data logging. We need to lean it out a bunch. Let's turn this thing off. Whew. All right, so Ryan with Flying Ryan Performance with his fast service has already sent me back a revision. So we're just putting that back in the truck now, and we'll get to start it up. So it was running pretty rich, as you guys saw. So this should tighten things up quite a bit and get us pointed in the right direction. But the good thing is, if we ever want to go E85, which is the plan eventually, that we will have plenty of fueling. So if we're getting that much fueling right off the bat right now with these injectors and that fuel pump, then that puts us in good shape for E85 here in the future as well. So we'll get that loaded up, start it, and see where our air fuel ratio is at. All right, let's hit record for our logging, and we'll go ahead and start this girl. All right, so we're in much better shape right now. We're at 13, hope you guys can see that, 13 to 14, or probably better see over here. So we're just hovering around there, which is pretty good. It's a lot leaner than before, so we'll wait for her to get up to temperature and see what she looks like. All right guys, so that's pretty much the process of doing one of these tunes, is you kind of go back and forth, especially with a very custom setup like we have here. When we go back and forth with revisions and sending back data log files and that kind of stuff. So once we get it running decent here in the shop, then we can actually start putting this thing under load, getting it in boost and seeing how it works there. So we're just trying to dial it in this way for now. And once we get it close here, then we can start doing more data logging under boost, which is what we all want to see. One other thing that I'm working on right now is the air hat situation. So the Procharger air hat actually says Procharger on it, but this one is the one that was included in the kit. And you can see we have this spacer here. It's kind of like a plastic spacer, and that spacer goes in there. And the reason why we're running a spacer is because our air temperature sensor, which is here, it threads in here, and I have this apart just because I'm messing with it right now. Is what happens is our throttle linkage kind of gets in the way and even wants to touch the side of here. So, but when I put this spacer on, this plastic spacer, I was getting a bunch of air leaking out through here. So boost was essentially just forcing its way outside because you can feel a bunch of air here. So if you guys have any of these air hats, I might try to see if I can find a different one, or maybe a different air hat spacer that seals up a little bit better, because this one's giving a big boost leak out of the side here. So if you guys have anything like that, let me know, but I'm gonna start researching this stuff, see if I can come up with something. I would run it just like this. I was debating running it like you see here, and maybe just retapping the thread on the back for this air temperature sensor, but it still runs the risk of binding on the side here. So you can see, even though it clears there, it might start touching here. It kind of does touch it. If you tighten it down way off to the side, it barely clears, but I don't want to run the risk of having our throttle sticking wide open. It wouldn't be a good situation, so I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to try and find a different solution for this problem. But that's pretty much it for today's video. Again, huge shout out to Jason for helping us out with all the parts on this build, and also to Flying Ryan for getting this thing dialed in. So, and HP Tuners for hooking us up with the software. So anyways, you guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We got a lot going on, a lot more on the way, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care.